लगी तुमसे मन की लगन, लगन लगी तुमसे मन की लगन, लगन लगी तुमसे मन की लगन। गली गली घूमे दिल तुझे ढूंढे, गली गली घूमे दिल तुझे ढूंढे, तेरे बिन हर से गया। लगन लगी तुमसे मन की लगन, लगन लगी तुमसे मन की लगन, लगन लगी तुमसे मन की लगन, लगन लगी तुमसे मन की लगन।
how I met the Sufi group and His Holiness Younus AlGohar. That was 4 years ago. I went to Los Angeles to an Expo Consciousness event, and there I met two people a few of them, of the Sufi brothers, and I was coming back to Phoenix and I said goodbye, and they said, how come you're leaving without meeting our Sufi master? And I said, yes, I can't do it because I have to go back to Phoenix. So I guess it's not going to happen. And then he said, he arrives today, but he arrives to Phoenix today. So I met him here the next day, and after that, 4 years went by. Eventually, they invited me to Mexico City to be a part of their program. And when I see the Sufi Brothers performance, they just stole my heart, and I fell in love with the group. And now I am assisting the Messiah Foundation organization to organize events internationally. Also, when I had the idea to present and to bring His Holiness here to my house, I was working on my computer when suddenly the idea came to mind, and it started raining. So we went outside and there was a huge rainbow, double helix rainbow. I never seen one before, so that was also a good sign. And I know everybody's ready for this, so where is Brother Steve? Okay, now I'm going to pass the microphone to Brother Steve. He's the president of Messiah Foundation International in United Kingdom, and he's going to introduce our special guest tonight.
Well, we're finally here, and this has been long awaited and anticipated that we're going to come to this area of America. And Phoenix is such a special, spiritual place, such energies here. And I know you're going to enjoy this evening, or this afternoon I should say, we're still this afternoon. His Holiness Younus AlGohar is a Sufi master. And a Sufi master is somebody that can awaken your heart, awaken your souls with just a glance and put you on to that step onto spirituality, that first steps onto reawakening, revitalizing your souls. Now, reality is our souls, but they're dormant when we're born. They need to be reawakened. And that's done by a process that a spiritual master can share. And once that spiritual master guides you on that path, the name enters your heart of God, and you're directly connected to God. So this is a really special moment today, and I hope everybody grasps this moment. As we said before, he's travelled all the way over from the United Kingdom. So grab this opportunity. If you want to ask any questions at all, he's a very down-to-earth man. He will answer any questions gladly. He loves questions, he loves interaction. So while he's speaking, have a think. If you have any questions, now's the time to have them answered. Afterwards, we're going to do the heart activation. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon installed. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud now to welcome onto stage a Sufi master. Please rise up and welcome His Holiness Younus AlGohar.
Good afternoon, or maybe good evening. It's nice to be here, and I'm here to share my thoughts, my energies, and some divine spiritual philosophies from the East. There are spiritual philosophies from the West, and then we have our own brand of spirituality, which may be slightly different to what the Western philosophies of spirituality are. But we can benefit from both. Today I will be sharing with you the spiritual science with the help of which we may be able to awaken our spiritual subtleties in the body. We believe there are 7 different souls inside our body. For a long time, as a student, I used to think there is only one soul in the body. That's one day I met with a boy who was not able to speak. And his parents took him everywhere, and his power of speech was never restored. And then we went to see a spiritual master. And he said, the soul which is responsible for sustaining power of speech in the body is defected. And then I came to know there are more souls in the body than just one. In the East, there are a lot of people who represent Sufism, spirituality. They have their own ways, their own culture. And most of the time, spirituality is mixed with culture. That's why it becomes difficult for everybody to embrace it. For example, in India, we have a different brand of spirituality. And then they have their outfits. Gandhi used to be known as half-naked fakir. because this was his spiritual attire. And then we have Hindu Sufism, Hindu spirituality, and we have Muslim spirituality, Sufism. A majority of people who are interested in spirituality in the West are aware of Rumi. You must have heard of Rumi. He always spoke about love and the beloved and how to live your life with all the blossom of love and harmony. And when I met my spiritual master, he made a cocktail. He took bits and pieces from all different spiritual cultures and came out with a brand new spirituality in order for everybody to be able to embrace it and reap the spiritual benefits and grace out of it. A lot of people today have become wary of religions and God and Jesus. And I understand this is not because they have any grudge against God or any personal vendetta against God or Jesus Christ. This is pretty natural phenomena. When you practice a religion for many, many years and you do not get anything from that religion, from the practice of that religion, rather you feel like you've been caged with different philosophies and you find very little space to maneuver your own life, and things that you want to do to enjoy life, you're told these are sins, you cannot do it, then people, on the first hand, they're not getting anything out of the practice of the religion. So they become non-recipient of any spiritual grace that may be rendered to them by the practice of religion. And on the other hand, they are caged by different laws, societal laws, religious laws. You cannot do this, you cannot do that. So they become weary of this concept of sin. And people call upon God for help when they need help, and God doesn't move. God doesn't reply. Then one day we lose hope. We call upon Jesus to help, and Jesus doesn't return. Jesus doesn't help. So we lose hope. When religions do not do anything good to improve quality of our life, we become weary of these religions. And sometimes religions become monsters. The ideology of religion can be adulterated in a way that it becomes a monster. Sometimes religions have a very limited parameter for us to maneuver. Sometimes we see the religions are creating divisions, creating problems, rather than addressing our spiritual needs and necessities. Now, bearing all this in mind, we tell ourselves, I am better off without a religion. And this has been the trend for the past 100 years now. People in the West are little more intelligent. They have shunned practice of religions. But back home, where I come from, in the East, people have a blindfold. They don't get anything out of the practice of their religion, but still they're clung to the practice of that religion. And then some of them are given radicalized views. You want to go to paradise, wear a jacket full of bombs, blow up somewhere, and let 100 and 200 people die with you. And this will be a gateway for you to enter into paradise. And there are 72 damsels waiting for you. Virgin, all of them. This is terrorism. But terrorism is just a branch of a monstrous religion. When the religion loses its glory, meaning spiritual power, spiritual regime, when spirituality is missing from some religion, then that religion becomes into a monster. When we call upon Jesus and Jesus doesn't attend to our call, once, twice, thrice, maybe after 10 times, we will have a very bad and negative conjecture about Jesus. Now, we will think it's just a mythology, and Jesus is just a character from a Greek mythology, because he never turns. When we need him, he doesn't reply. He doesn't help. So in order to know the truth, we have to adopt spirituality. God is somewhere. We heard it on the grapevine. There is somebody. He lives somewhere above the skies. We heard about it. But seeing is believing. Seeing is believing. You see, when we go to the mosques and churches and synagogues, we are told to believe in what we cannot see and sustain that belief. And sustaining that belief is known as faith. Have faith in God. Even if He doesn't ever help you, but we have to have faith. Now this slogan is fading away. We're living in 21st century, where we have iPhone, FaceTime, right? We're at the peak of modern technological culmination. And we think we're half a god. In this moment in time when, we have all the luxuries and all the comforts of life, and we can make it rain. We can reach Mars, we've been to the moon. We can fiddle with the human gene. We can know in advance what diseases or illnesses or ailments will the baby or the baby boy or the baby girl will have when they are born, looking at this with the study of the gene. So we're so advanced. Do we need God right now? Do we need Jesus? And if we need Jesus, why do we need Him? Is He going to buy us a mobile phone? iPhone? Is it going to improve the quality of our internet? That's a question. God. We cannot deny the existence of God. The proof is our own self. Somebody must have created us. Our creation cannot be a coincidence. But the problem is the messengers and the great, great spiritual masters who would teach us how to spiritualize our life, how to enlighten and awaken our souls, and then find the spiritual proximity with God. Those masters are here no more. And what we have is just, orators who speak and tell us the stories. This happened, that happened, When Jesus came, this happened. When Muhammad came, this happened. And we talk about the miracles. We talk about these things which our intellect cannot even perceive. Far-fetched stories. And we keep reading them and we are bemused by the study of the miracles which took place in, remote history. But this is what it is. We have so many stories. This is the story of every religion. If you go to a church, they will tell you stories of Christian saints and Lord Jesus Christ and Mother Mary. But why can't we see those miracles working today in our age? We don't see them today. We have stories from the era of Moses in which God would send food from the skies, from above the skies. We have stories from the era of Abraham and Adam. But we don't see these things anymore. This is why we do not relate to Lord Jesus Christ. This is why we do not relate to the miracles that were worked by Jesus in the history, because we do not see them today. We go to church and we're just thinking about God, and we are told you're speaking with God, you're talking. No, we're not talking. I'm just thinking. So many different things have been added to the academic side of religions, which never existed. Everything has been glamorized. Like Sufism, this has also become a business. Spiritualists think most spiritualists are dealing with our souls. No, they're dealing with dollars, making money. Oftentimes we talk about meditation. Well, the very word meditate. Meditate means think deeply. Do we have to learn how to meditate? We already know how to think deeply. A true meditation is transcendental spiritual journey. And that happens when the souls are enlightened, when the souls have been energized, when the souls have been, localized with divinity. As a Muslim, I was told on the night of Ascension, Prophet Muhammad, physically, he flew from his bed and he went to Jerusalem, and then, he went up to the sky, and he went to see God. It's difficult, isn't it, to relate to all these things? Because we have never seen such things happening in front of our eyes. Our intellect only accepts things that we can see, we can experience. What we cannot see, what we cannot experience, doesn't really fit in our head. It looks like, oh yes, I must believe because this is my religion, so all right, okay, it must have happened. But we cannot relate to such things. And all these things, all these different beautiful people like Adam, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, they all came and they went, and we're just living in the wilderness of ignorance, and we do not know anything. Today I have come here to tell you that we have found the truth. We have found the truth. What Adam said was right. What Abraham said was right. What Moses said was right. What Jesus said was right. What Jesus did was right. And what Muhammad did was right. But we do not know the right knowledge. We do not know the whereabouts of divinity. This is why we're left in lurch and we have no clue. We have no clue how to love God. And love is the most misinterpreted and misunderstood word. right? You will meet some man one day, you will fall in love, and after some time you will find out he was sleeping around. So where is love? That's not love, is it? We have assumed if we take care of somebody, we actually love them. But what about nursing homes? All the female and male nurses, they're taking care of the elderly people there. And they're getting paid for that care. Is that love? That's not love. And it's funny, we always enjoy when we hate somebody, right? But we don't get to enjoy when we love somebody. We have to sacrifice a lot in order to keep that love alive. You must admit, love always demand a lot. Sacrifices. And how much will you sacrifice in the way of love? There is a limit. And when one day finally, when you see, oh, I've lost everything, now I'm left with nothing, so let go of this love. This love is biting my life off. Love is substance. Love is divine. And the place of love is the spiritual heart. When this spiritual heart is revived, awakened, energized, spiritualized, like this mobile phone, it doesn't work without power and connection. In a similar way, this heart has very profound potential. This will work with divine energy. When it is energized with divine light, it starts to show off its spiritual functionality. This heart works like a mirror. And Rumi said, if you polish your heart, which is like a mirror, then anyone who comes in front of your heart will reflect in your heart. And my master said, when the heart is awakened and enlightened, this will be our tool of communication with God, with Jesus. I didn't believe it until I found it. I'm not a very religious man. I used to play cricket in college. I still do. But then one day, I was totally fed up with the religions. I was a very religious boy at a very young age. Because my father used to tell me, you have to go to the mosque every day, 5 times a day, or you will go to hell. So as a child, I had this fear instilled in my heart. I must go there 5 times a day, or else I'll go to hell. So I had to do that. And then, one day, when I went to the mosque, the Muslim priest was telling us a story of Prophet Muhammad. And he said, the Prophet Muhammad said, if you take a shower 5 times a day, will there be any dirt on your body? And everybody said, no. So going to the mosque 5 times a day is very similar to taking a shower 5 times a day. So when you go to a mosque 5 times a day, there will be no sin on you. There will be no dirt on your heart. And I did it for years and years. But I still found there was dirt in me. I still had my crooked ways. I felt I was still bad inside my heart. I felt I still wanted to deprive others of their possessions if I didn't have them. That was really alarming. I mean, I was asking my question. What was told to me, was it really right, or I was, So these practices of religions, they appear to be so important and essential in one's spiritual, religious life. But without spirituality, no religion will work any good on any of you or me. Because spirituality is the soul of religions. Spirituality is greater than any religion. If you have adopted spirituality, then you do not need any religion. If you have adopted spirituality. We have these souls inside us. By the way, I have put this dress on in order to impress you. Otherwise, I wear pretty normal clothes, in my pajamas and t-shirt. I feel relaxed. But I was told I must impress everybody here, so I have to put this on. So spirituality is all about enlightening the souls and awakening the souls. Some people in the East said yoga was a spiritual practice. And I was really confused. And I asked my master, is yoga a spiritual practice? And my master said, why do you ask? I said, because I don't see any soul getting involved in the practice of yoga. We're just stretching our body. Are we stretching our souls as well? And the master said, no. Yoga is good for body and mind. But enlightenment of the soul is a different ball game. And I said, what is spirituality then? What is it? Because I thought the only function of the soul is to sustain life in our body. That's what I used to think. By the way, I did masters in organic chemistry. I did masters in physical chemistry. So I was very argumentative at times. And I used to think the function of the soul is to sustain life in our body. That's all. But my master told me, no. There are two different sets of souls. Celestial souls and terrestrial souls. And we share terrestrial souls with animals and all other different type of creatures, like stones, like trees, like animals. We share same types of souls with all these living objects. Like the stone, the mountains have mineral soul. And the trees, mineral soul plus botanical soul. And the animals, and they have the animal spirit. If we have the same amount of souls as animals do, then why we have intellect, why do we speak and animals do not speak? That was really, it was very overwhelmingly experience for me when my master said, we have some different souls in human beings. Because if we had the same soul that animals do, the trees do, the stones do, then why the stones do not speak? Why the animals have no intellect like us? Well, there is always room for argument. You can say, yeah, they have intelligence, they have intellect. But no animal was a scientist, was it? They must have some intellect, going here and there. But Einstein was a human being. So we have something superior given to us by God in comparison to what has been given to the animals. And what additional thing we have in us as human beings is a set of celestial souls. When it comes to sustaining life in the body, we have similar amounts of souls that the animals do. Botanical spirit, mineral spirit, and animal spirit. And we have all these souls too in our body. And these three souls are responsible for the growth and for sustenance of our body and sustaining life in our body. But the set of celestial souls that have only been given to human beings, their function is different. We have 5 of them in the chest, from which come 5 senses. They don't have 5 senses. We do. And then we have 1 soul here in the head. It was so fascinating to see how Jesus spoke. When Jesus said, God created men in His own image. Ever since I read this, I used to think, I'm like God. Because God created man in His own image. If I have fingers, God must have fingers. I have fingers because God had it. If God didn't have fingers, I wouldn't have it. Because God created man in His own image. The way I'm walking, the way you are walking, God must walk the same way. Because God created man in His own image. That was really fascinating. And I said to my master, God created man in His own image, then why do we need any religion? We are God's image already. We're already God's image. And then my master said, God created you and everybody else in His own image. But you need His character now. We don't behave like God. What was missing is God's character. God is oftentimes forgiving. Not all the time. God is love. God is compassion, full of compassion. Empathy. A lot of people are losing their grip on empathy and sympathy and compassion these days. This is not because they have shunned the practice of a religion. This is because the divine characteristics in us are diminishing day by day because they've stopped the practice of spirituality. In order to behave like God, live like God, God has given us a set of celestial souls. There are 5 in our breast and 1 lies in our head. And this is the 3rd eye. When this is awakened and enlightened, then we're able to see God. Then we're able to see Jesus and Abraham and Moses. All these great personalities were the wonderful teachers of spirituality. And when the heart is spiritualized, and all the dust is removed by the practice of spirituality. It shines like a mirror. I must tell you, as a boy, before I was introduced to spirituality, I learned telepathy. I would convey my messages from my mind to others, but I wouldn't know what they are thinking. But when I met my master and I was exposed to naked spirituality in which your heart and the souls and all the spirits are awakened and enlightened, and with them you make spiritual journeys. You think about making a spiritual journey, they come out of your body. You're still sitting in your chair, and they come out of your body. They look like you. When the soul, and they take the shape of our body, and they look like us. Mevlana Rumi, one day he went to the mosque, and he was praying, and his master came. And he said, "You're praying alone. Where is all of you gone?" And I said, "What? Where is all of me gone?" "Yeah, you're not just one, you're many." And he was really intrigued by this knowledge. What? Am I many? I just know myself. And when he was exposed to the spiritual sciences, and he was told there are 7 souls inside his body, and then yet another 9 different souls are given birth by these 7 souls, and they become 16. And with spiritual nourishment, with the spiritual practice, all these souls, one after the other, develop this ability to come out and make journeys. And then one day, he went to the mosque again after 15-20 years. He was in the prayer, and his master came, and he said, "Now you are many." And he said, "How?" And his master said, and he saw there were 16 men like him. Standing before him or behind him. So this is all in you. This is all in you. You know, we look to find some cure. Your age stops. The soul, if one of your soul was nurtured when you were 20, and it was fully grown up when you were 20, and it came out, that soul will stay forever 20. Like Forever 21? So you have these souls in you, and then when you have attained this spiritual status, then you think about God. Where is God? One of the souls will leave your body. You are sitting in your chair or in meditation, one of the souls will leave your body and will see God. These souls will reach God, access God. These souls will access Jesus. These souls will change our life and our lifestyle. This is all I wanted to share with you. And by the way, We have been delegated to give away this methodology to people so that they can experience what I'm talking about. Steve Bell, Azazina Avila, they have this delegation, and they can do the heart activation today for all of you. I'm really grateful for you to be patient with me, and you heard me to the last word I spoke. And if there are any questions, questions are welcome.
One interruption. We have a surprise for you.
What is it?
Before we go with the question section.
All right.
There. Coming from over there. Come here. Mark, be in the chair. Over there.
Wow. A guitarist?
Yeah, I'd like to come up and share a song. It's one I wrote last year. It's called Wide Wide World, and it's just about all of us trying to find our way and find meaning and find understanding in this 21st century grand scheme of things. So enjoy it. Across this old desert, there's no place that I
Where's the microphone?
It's here.
Would anybody like to ask any questions?
Thank you for being here. This is okay. I have a question for you, please. With the new children that are coming in and that are already here, many of them are very celestial. Do you see these children as perhaps you mentioned that we are terrestrial with much in common with that of this earth, but we also have the celestial. Therefore, do you see these children that are now coming in with their third eye wide open and many abilities of telekinesis and telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience? They seem to want to have nothing to do with the world as it is, or, if I may say so, with adults, a great distrust of adults. And yet the world that these children are creating with the inventions, the music, the food, the creations, the art, the messages they're giving forth are beyond anything that people up until this point have been speaking of and able to do. So, with all of this that has been said by this one here now, my question, do you see these children as perhaps a new race, a new pure celestial race? Thank you.
I understand. You see, now, every single religious person, no matter what religion he practices, they deny existence of spirituality. Now, what you said, that these new kids have this celestial potential and the enormous amount of potential that they're showing, I think this is a divine endorsement on spirituality. So that people may start to begin to believe in spirituality again. They have this potential. Their brain is more charged up spiritually than ours. So this is divine endorsement. And I totally agree with what you said.
Question for you. In India, do you guys practice astrology? Because my website goes all over the world and I get more hits from India than anywhere in the world. You do?
Yeah, they practice astrology.
Okay.
They have their own version.
Right. Yeah, there is 85 ways to write an astrological chart. I'm an astrologer too.
Right, good. That's good.
Thank you, sir. What I teach my students is that God created the stars and the heavens for more than the sake of beauty. He gave them to us for interpretation, so we may lead a more safer and more productive life. Okay? So what I'm having a problem with is that the U.S. Department of Education is stopping people like you, or me, soul doctors, to reach the children and introduce them to what I call their UCI, or unique celestial identity. And most of all, as far as religion is concerned, a lot of people do not know about Jesus' initial ministry. In the old day, they didn't teach the Bible, they were teaching the stars. And that's where the 12 apostles are the representation of the 12 hours of the day, the 12 months of the year, the 12 saints, the 12 jury, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 notes of music, the 12 psalms of Messiah. So I think there is, as far as God cosmic divinity has been lost, because children and human beings have lost their relationship with the divine. And that's what I do. I teach people how to reconnect with their own self. Like you mentioned earlier, we have a DNA, we are related 150% to our family member, yet it may even look like them. But we will never think, behave, create, have the same fate because we have a different UCI. That's what I'm trying to say.
I understand your point.
So, well, I know you understand. So my question to you is, I hope you understand what I'm saying and maybe dig a little bit deeper into the cosmic code or what God's spiritual identity is all about. Make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Anybody else?
Let me.
Did you? I didn't hear a question.
Maybe he wanted my point of view on that, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's exactly what I understand.
Because in India, they practice astrology all the time, or anywhere else in the world. And you didn't approach it in a rational way. You didn't approach it spiritually. Not
In India, astrology is pretty much center of their life. You know, in India, before they start any project, they want to know, should I do it or should I not do it? So it's pretty much the center of their life. Now, the point that you were making about the cosmos, what I know is that physically, we have only one cosmos, which is potentially within our reach, in which there are so many planets floating around in their own orbits, like Sun, the Mars, Moon, Jupiter, so many of them. And then there's Milky Ways, you know, many 100,000 stars, and all these things. But I understand the higher than this one, in which you only access through spirituality. So there are 7 different cosmos. 7. Right? Now, in this cosmos, where we have these planets, our planet Earth, and the Moon, and the Mars, and all the other planets, we live on Earth, and in 1968 or 69, for the first time, when we landed on the Moon, it was a remarkable achievement, wasn't it? And we're still trying to land on Mars. I do not know, I'm not updated if we have already landed on Mars. We're trying, right? Right. Now, physically, yeah. You got it? All right. Yeah.
So most of you saw through the Facebook event that we created that this is an opening of the spiritual heart ceremony. So we're going to continue with that ceremony. Sometimes we do the opening of the heart activation one-on-one, but due to the size of the space that we're sharing, it will be kind of very tight to do that. So we're going to do it as a group. And I'm going to invite Brother Steve to conduct that ceremony.
So I can ask everybody now to close your eyes.
But wouldn't you ask them what name of God would they want to use?
It's going to be a computer. Everybody is going to be saying something different.
Yeah, but then
Or have them choose it by themselves in their own mind.
Yeah, choose the Heavenly Father.
Oh, because we have to mantra like, right?
So what name would everybody?
Explain like very briefly what the ceremony is about.
Right.
what happens when the heart is activated?
This,
What's the process?
the process is the name of God. Instead of saying it by the tongue, it will come inside your heart, And God's name will implant inside your heart, your physical and spiritual heart will work together, and they will produce divine energy, divine light. And the only food that your souls and your heart requires is light. And to make your heart this generator of this divine energy, divine light, the spiritual master implants the name inside the beating system of your heart. And this process will go on night and day. As your heart beats, the name of God will pound inside your heart and will start to produce this energy, this light. So it's whatever name we call upon God, Ram or Allah, Jesus, whatever following we take place, that's the name that we implant inside the beating system of the heart.
AlGohar, Yahweh.
Right. So,
any name.
Or any spiritual guide.
so if there's an agreement of everybody for one name,
I'm sorry, I have a burning question for you that I can't, because we're talking about this, right? I'm very curious why I've heard you refer to God in the masculine primarily or only in most of your speaking.
That's a good question.
We expect that you know that.
It's like, this question is like inviting the trouble.
When you asked for the name of God, I thought Sophia.
Well, that's one manifestation of God. But another one is a female manifestation of God. So he has both. She has both. She has. But I must tell you, I have to explain this because it's important academically. When we say men, right? When we say men, in God's understanding, men means both male and female. So when God said God created man in His own image, He means both of you, male and female, right? So God also has both sides, so to speak.
So again, why do you primarily refer to God in the masculine if the feminine is also God?
Because mostly He is masculine. In most of the books. Yeah. I think he was, if he manifested as a female, a lot of people would love God more than they do now. Have you heard Ariana Grande's song? I believe God is a woman. You must listen to that song. So, like water, in everybody in their own language will have a different name for water. In a similar way, God is same. God of Adam, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad. God is same. Everybody has their different names for Him. Yeah? So what matters is that we drink water. What matters is God. You call Him Ram, Bhagwan, Allah, Elohim, Yahweh. With what names really don't matter. Any name in any language which we use to call upon God is worthy of respect. Any name. It's not about the name. It's about the substance of the name that must enter the heart. A God is just a translation of God's name. A God is not a name. It's a pronoun. It's a pronoun, isn't it? It's a pronoun. It's not a noun. So nobody should have a problem with pronoun. If we all say God, 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 it should work. I mean, it's all up to you. There is no compulsion. Yahweh. That's the translation of Yahweh. I am. This is what God said to Moses. What's your name? He said, I am who I am. Yahweh. So what Steve can do, he will say God, 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 and you say in your heart whatever you want to say. Right? That looks fine. Okay, Brother Steve. Yeah, it's fine. Because it has to do with the substance, the divine energy. That must enter. If Sufi Lauren can be God, it's fine. So, we need to close our eyes, and Steve will then repeat the word at least 3-4 times, and we have to repeat after him. Whatever name we need to use, that's entirely up to you. And then it will be done. Okay, Brother Steve?
So just concentrate on your physical and spiritual heart working together. And when this name enters, it will start to produce positive energy, divine energy. If you like to feel your heartbeat, then you may do that, or your pulse. It's about that heartbeat articulating this name. And whatever name of God you call upon, you can do so. God, 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 God.
We done now? So, what's next?
Pretty much we're done, except if we want to do the dance. Can you play some background music?
Sorry.
Group photo, please.
I messed up one part. Let's start from the top.
One more. I'm here. Everybody beautiful. Okay? Yes. You can yeah. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
बहुत सही मरहबा। यहाँ की तकरीब आज जो है वो ख़त्म होती है। बहुत ही ज़बरदस्त और बहुत ही खूबसूरत प्रोग्राम हुआ है। बहुत ज़्यादा रूहानियत थी और बहुत ज़्यादा महसूसात थे। और इसके साथ ही हम आपसे इजाज़त चाहते हैं। टिल द नेक्स्ट प्रोग्राम we will be live telecast and see you. God Hafiz.